Aguela. We'll begin with security matters. Members of Operation Zenda of the Benue State Police Command have nabbed 2 suspected kidnappers at a community along New Otukpo Road, Makurdi. Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Paul Hemba, and the Commissioner of Police, Wali Abbas, disclosed this at the Government House in Makurdi. Charles Abba will tell us more about it.
Commissioner of Police Wali Abbas and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Paul Hemba, explained that 2 out of a 4-man gang of suspected kidnappers made their Waterloo along New Otukpo Road, where Operation Zenda of the Benue State Police Command intercepted them. They said the kidnappers had, over time, collected millions of naira from their victims as ransom.
We set out our dragnets. Unfortunately enough, the last operation they had, while they were trying to escape, although they couldn't succeed, while they were trying to escape, one of their telephone dropped. And that was what gave us the lead. The kingpin is on the run. We are very close to him, and by the special grace of before the week runs out, we'll get at him too.
They've been operating in Makurdi here. They specialize in kidnapping women. Their victims are usually women.
Former council chairman of Vandeke local government, Ibrahim Ano, narrated how his wife was in the den of the kidnappers for 9 days.
Being a mother that left a child of 2 years, I have to endure with them because they were communicating with me. They asked me for 25 million naira. When I complained, they said that I'm a businessman, that they have known me for a number of years. They know what I was and what I were, and today what I am.
How much
so,
did you pay?
At the end of the day, I gave them 3 million naira with a beg.
Mr. Saondo, whose wife was also a victim of the alleged kidnappers, said she was abducted with his car and held for 7 days in their custody before security operatives secured her release. 2 of the apprehended kidnappers, Solomon Yove, 25, and Choho Teyema, 30, who confessed to the crime. Meanwhile, the facility around old NEPA quarters, Makurdi, used by suspected kidnappers.
The government of every state is not only assisting security agencies, but also organizing the platform where our security agencies will have a better forum for interagency synergy, coordination, and collaboration, so that crime and criminality can be neutralized.
We have to thank the security for their efforts, because their efforts have proved that in Yobe here we have a good security.
Reacting to the development, Francis Kohul says the cattle from Mubi moved to Borno State for grazing before they were stolen, hence commended Yobe State government and security forces for their efforts at ensuring that cattle rustlers are denied freedom of movement in the state. These suspects, according to authorities in the state, will be charged to court for prosecution. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force aircraft has struck a terrorist gathering at Kurebe in Shiroro local government area of Niger State after intelligence revealed that the terrorists had assembled for an important meeting hosted by Boko Haram terrorist commander Aminu Dunia. Sources revealed that the air strikes conducted during the weekend resulted in the death of many terrorists, though it remains unclear if Aminu Dunia was also neutralized in the strike. The strike at Kurebe comes barely hours after coordinated joint air and ground operations neutralized several terrorists operating around Damba Galbi axis in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State, with Nigerian Army troops laying siege around the location while NAF aircraft carried out the airstrikes. Troops of Theatre Command Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadinkai have rescued another Chibok girl alongside 3 others abducted within the theatre. Theatre Commander Operation Hadinkai Major General Christopher Musa presented the rescued persons at the Theatre Command headquarters in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Memuna Garba reports.
Recently, troops on frontline are making headway into various terrorist enclaves to clear them, as a result of which captives are being rescued from the bondage. To this end, Theatre Commander Operation Hadinkai, Major General Christopher Musa said on the 12th of this month, another Chibok girl, Aisha Grema, who is serial number 11 on the girls list, was rescued with her 4-year-old child by troops of Sector 1, 21 Special Armored Brigade Bama. The other 3 girls, he said, escaped from captivity and were found by troops on 9th August, namely one Red Dampam from Jos Plateau State and Clarice Hidel from Jamena, Chad, all abducted in 2020, while the third lady, Hawa, was traumatized and could not give any relevant information about herself.
We will continue to do the best we can. We know there's still so many of them out there, and then we will do everything possible to ensure we get all of them back, including those ones that we had no idea they're abducted. We want to ensure everybody that's been abducted is released and back to school so that they can enjoy with the family.
Troops of Sector 1 have been able to recover at least 6 of the Chibok girls. This brings the number to 6 within the last 2 months.
National President Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association NAOA, Salamatu Faruk Yahaya, who was in Maiduguri to inaugurate developmental projects and empower women in the theatre, met with the rescued girls where she presented relief items and cash assistance to them. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency in Nasarawa State is interfacing with stakeholders to expose criminal activities and secure their immediate environment by being vigilant. This is coming against the background of reported cases of recruitment of child soldiers by terrorist groups in some parts of the country. Bilkisu Umar reports.
Despite federal government's commitment to containing the security challenges in the country, the ugly menace keeps reoccurring and taking dangerous dimension. The most recent is the recruitment of child soldiers to support the terror groups. The State Director of NOA, Priscilla Gondwalo, said the agency will not relent but will continue to enlighten residents to be more conscious now than ever before and step up efforts to stem the tide of insecurity in the state and the nation at large. She explained that the recruitment of child soldiers is taking alarming dimension in some parts of the country, stressing the need for unflinching support of all to fight the scourge.
It is not the responsibility of one person. It is not the responsibility of the governor alone. It is not the responsibility of the security agencies alone. As a matter of fact, we think that a lot of responsibility lies on parents and caregivers.
The Emir of Lafia represented and other guests at the meeting enjoined parents to pay more attention to their wards, insisting that child soldiering portends great danger to the nation. The NTA boss was at the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Lafia, on partnership to create aggressive awareness on the dangers of recruiting child soldiers into terrorism. In Lafia, Bilkisu Umar Gurku, NTA News.
Let's turn to other issues. The federal government says apart from intensifying measures towards the release of all the train passengers abducted 6 months ago, the commencement of commercial services on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line depends largely on putting in place a robust security mechanism that will forestall a repeat of the ugly scenario. The Minister of Transportation, Mwazu Jaji Sambo, stated this in Lagos while also giving an update on the commencement of freight services on the standard gauge of the Lagos-Ibadan rail line. Michael Olale reports.
Many wins in the rail subsector are almost undermined by security challenges, but the zeal to overcome this problem is ever strong. Apart from exploring options to return to the beautiful old days of the rail transportation, resolving all hindrance to commence freight services on the standard gauge of the Lagos-Ibadan rail line is important to the minister. He gave assurance that delaying takeoff will be addressed as the project is key to the overall infrastructure development agenda of the federal government as contained in its 2021 to 2025 master plan.
This administration has underscored the importance of infrastructure by creating what is called the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, if you know, to drive certain priority legacy projects. There is no administration in this country that has invested in infrastructure like the Buhari administration.
On changing the tide of the trying times, which has stalled services on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line, the minister said government is responding positively, with security force in pulling forward.
We are also looking at the best world standard security system to put in place to ensure that forever such a thing will never happen again.
Expanding the rail network, completing ongoing projects and enhancing the welfare of rail workers, the minister assures are progressing. In Lagos, Michael Alaleye, NTA News.
Lagos State government will continue to leverage on vast experience of the United States of America to ensure an enhanced
opportunity, to better the lives of our citizens, our businesses, in both jurisdictions and both countries. We will, I'm sure, over the period, deepen the relationship further and build, visible, clear visions for our citizens.
There were also discussions on strengthening trade relations and partnership in education, entertainment, cultural engagement, and other initiatives capable of attracting more investors to critical sectors of the economy.
We're focused on three primary sectors. First and foremost here in Lagos State, as the Consul General, trade and investment, promoting bilateral trade and investment, helping Nigerian companies export to the U.S., U.S. companies export here, U.S. companies invest here, and Nigerian companies investing in the U.S., which raises all of our prosperity and helps us to improve relations, because those kind of economic relations are really the foundation of any partnership.
Consul General Will Stevens is the senior U.S. government representative in Nigeria responsible for leading and overseeing government activities that will enhance trade and investment relations across 17 southern states in the country. In Lagos, Musa Toliab, NTA News.
All right, let's go on a break. We're back. Please stay tuned.
The vaccine offers hope for a safe country free of coronavirus. I urge all state governments, traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in the mobilization effort within their environment and spheres of influence. I similarly urge all eligible Nigerians to present themselves and be vaccinated in accordance with the order of priority already mapped out at the various authorized designated centers only.
Welcome back. Telecom subscribers across the country will have to bear the brunt of the 5% excise tax on telecoms services being proposed by the federal government. Chairman Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, Benga Adebayo, stated this on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria amidst complaints by subscribers that telecommunication is a social service, but further increase in tariff will be a huge additional financial burden on Nigerians. Lydia Sampson reports.
That what you are buying, getting 100 naira value for today, you will get 95 naira in value. What you are getting 1,000 naira value for today, you get 150 naira in value. What you are getting 9,000, 10,000 naira for today, you get 9,500.
That is the new tax regime on telecom services, which will take effect as soon as the federal government gives the go-ahead to telecom operators. But Nigerians are already kicking over the imminent tariff hike, saying it will take a huge financial toll on businesses and erode the gains recorded so far in the telecom sector.
There are other ways by which government can get revenue. Property tax is there. So many people have property all over this country that are not paying taxes on them.
The government is talking about improving small scale and medium scale businesses. Most of them rely on data, rely on service provider to kickstart their businesses.
Interestingly, the telecom operators too are appealing to the federal government to take it easy with Nigerians on taxes. There were further appeals for the federal government to reduce income tax leakages as well as multiple taxes which overburden the masses. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Chairman, People's Democratic Party State Chairman Forum, Felix Hayat, has expressed confidence that all perceived differences among members of the party arising from the presidential primary election is normal, but will soon be resolved. He was speaking at a national summit organized by GLAD Initiative in conjunction with PDP Vote Right ambassadors in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
Felix Hassan Hayat, popularly referred to as chairman of states PDP across the country, is also the state chairman of the party in Kaduna State. He believes that failure to do the right thing is a pain to the nation's political development, but optimistic that the rebranded PDP is set to now do things right for the right results going forward.
Anytime you go through a primaries, you expect some people who thought they would have been the ones to win, didn't win, so they feel a bit aggrieved. By the time campaign structures are put in ground, people, every shade of opinion is captured, this thing will fizzle out.
Back in the summit hall, former governor of Niger State and member of the PDP Board of Trustees, Muazu Babangida Aliyu, joined by the party's presidential candidate spokesman, Senator Dino Melaye, agree with Hayat, emphasizing that not doing things rightly enough were responsible for the party's loss of presidential election in 2019.
This time around, at the PDP level, we said we must change the norm. What can we do different? We can do differently because we know where elections are won and lost.
We cannot afford to get it wrong come 2023.
We want to lay a foundation of those who will champion right attitude.
The summit with the theme, Doing It Right for the Right Results, is expected to also hold across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Kogi State, the World Bank and NG Cares are currently in a partnership which will provide integrated support to 330 farmers within Kogi West Senatorial Zone. The initiative has been flagged off with the distribution of farm inputs to beneficiaries. Francis Udojo reports.
The decision by the World Bank in collaboration with NG Cares to support states of the Federation is necessitated by the effect of COVID-19. Agricultural aids to farmers include fertilizers, cassava, and other inputs that can improve livelihood. In Kogi State, the program has now been flagged off in the Western Senatorial District in addition to the Eastern and Central Districts through the Fadama2 project. The state coordinator NG Cares, Sani Mohammed, performed the ceremony on behalf of the state governor, Yahya Bello.
The state government decided to key into the NG Care program to provide these resources so that you can improve your yields, you can add value to what you have produced.
330 farmers cutting across Yagba West and East, Mupamuru, as well as Kababunu, benefited from the initiative.
There is no money to maintain our farm, but right now I know it will be easier for us to maintain it now.
The one I've been planting did not give me so much fruit, but I believe as they explained this one to us, it will yield.
If you plant it will grow. Because it is hardy, it can resist drought. It has a yield of 30 tons. We have experimented with it for the past 5 years.
Kogi State government, however, expects a multiplier effect on the investments in a short period of farming. Francis Sudojo, NTA News.
Torrential rains that lasted for 2 days have left havoc in some communities in Kano State, leaving many people dead and some displaced. Awal Salisu reports from Toranke village in Ajingi local government area, one of the communities hit by the disaster.
This Aliu, a 4-year-old survivor of a collapsed building in Ajingi town. His father Malam Aminu said on his return from farm, he met a crowd struggling to rescue the boy who was trapped inside one of the collapsed rooms in his house.
I never expected the boy to survive the incident.
Many residents of Ajingi, Toranki and other neighboring communities have been affected by the prolonged rainstorms that destroyed more than 200 houses and property worth millions of naira.
The incident thrown a lot of people into difficulties. I have no means of rebuilding the house.
The downpour that lasted more than 2 days resulted in the death of a 4-year-old girl in this community and 3 other siblings in similar incidents in Tarai town of Kivia local government, while more than 500 people have been displaced. Executive Secretary State Emergency Management Agency Saleh Ali Ujili said the state government has distributed relief items to the victims of the unfortunate disaster. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
Next is sports update.
Nigeria's under-20 women's national team, the Falconets, have reached the last 8 of the 10th FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup finals, ongoing in Costa Rica, after another superlative performance that saw them picked all 3 points from Korea Republic in a 1-0 win. Falconets will play their last Group C match against Canada in the early hours of Thursday. Nigeria topped the group with 6 points from 2 matches, followed by France with 3 points. Meanwhile, registration for the 4th edition of National Anti-Corruption Marathon has commenced in Abuja to allow individuals, officials, and volunteers register through the portal.
And the strength and the future of this country, this anti-corruption marathon race will avail them the opportunity to redirect their energies to doing something worthwhile and shun corrupt activities.
We are very, very sensitive in terms of gender. Whatever thing the man wins, the prize money, the same thing with the female runners.
This year's edition, which will coincide with Nigeria Independence Celebration, come 1st October, is a 21.25-kilometer race starting from the Eagle Square through some major streets in Abuja and terminate at Eagle Square. And finally, Simona Halep produced a battling performance in Toronto to beat Brazil's Beatriz Haddad-Maia in 3 sets and claim a 3rd Canadian Open title to rise back to 6th in the world rankings. The 30-year-old dropped from 2nd in the world to 20th after missing a large part of last season with injury. Spain's Pablo Carreno Busta beat Poland Hubert Hurkacz 3-6, 6-3, 6-3 to win the men's title. With sport updates, Clement Oloruntoba, NTA News.
That's Panorama. Thank you very much for your time. Remember, the fight against rape and rapists cannot be won without your support. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
I'm actually a passionate baker. I don't rest until everything is done.
When I entered university, anytime I'm broke, I'll make cupcakes and go and sell to the other students.
Decorating cake it's an artistic thing, and art is, dynamic.
Join us on Baker's World every Thursday on the network service of the NTA. Baker's World, celebrating creativity. Don't miss it.
Information is power. Everyone wants power. So feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the You Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world. NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues, accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us.
Lens on Africa.
Welcome to the Window of Africa, a peek into the heart and motions of the land of warmth, color, and friendship. From art to entertainment, history to economics, we bring you a view of Africa that is unique and refreshing. This week, we explore Fogo Island in Cape Verde.
The European Union says it is investing 1.12 million euros to strengthen the capacity for implementation of key national economic policies and initiatives, including documentation and visibility of EU projects in Nigeria. Head of the Cooperation EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS gave the insight at the unveiling of the project in Abuja. The federal government is reassuring Nigerians of its commitment towards developing all the energy and nomadic pastoralists to ensure
East Africa,
Kano
occupying northern, central and southern Kenya and northern Tanzania.
Minister of Transportation
Maasai is centrally in linguistic fair
While on an
referring to
inspection
speakers
visit
of this
to
Eastern
site.
Sudanese language,
Away from
usually called Ma,
transportation to
of the
agriculture,
Nilo-Saharan language family.
Nigeria and the International
The
Fund
Maasai
for
territory reached
Agricultural
its
Development
largest size
says
in the
it
mid-19th
has so far
century
invested
and covered almost all of the Great Rift
$455 million
Valley and
for the
adjacent lands,
financing
from Mount
of two key
Marasabit in the
agricultural
north
projects.
to Dodoma
The
in the
International Monetary
south,
Fund (IMF)
starting with the
is urging
1904 treaty
countries to
and followed
contain
by another in
rising debts and
1911.
ensure a smooth
Maasai
flow of
lands in
food
Kenya
and
were
energy
reduced by
to advance
60%
economic
when the
destruction.
British
This
evicted
is
them
coming
to make room
even
for
as China
settler
consumer
ranches,
prices hit
subsequently
a two-year
confining the
high.
Maasai to
The nation's
present-day
budget
Samburu,
office says
Laikipia,
Nigeria must cut petrol
Kajiado,
subsidy
and Narok
and boost revenue
districts.
collection
More
to
land
avoid
was
a
taken to
sharp
create
deterioration
wildlife
in
reserves and
government
national parks,
finances next year.
such as
The
Amboseli
budget
National
deficit
Park,
may rise to
Nairobi
12.1
National
trillion
Park,
naira next year.
Masai
This
Mara,
is almost three
Samburu
times
National
total
Reserve,
revenue of
Ngorongoro
55%
Conservative Area,
of gross domestic
Tarangire and
product (GDP).
Serengeti National Park.
Meanwhile, the World Bank
Dressed in
has raised
bright
the
red
alarm that
robes,
the country
spear in
might be
hand,
facing
Maasai
an
warriors are an
existential
impressive
threat.
sight to behold.
This is in light of
Calm and
Nigeria's
courageous
dwindling
in
revenue
dangerous
and
situations,
the continued
this tribe
payment
is
of
renowned
trillions
for
of
its
naira
remarkable
from fuel
trackers
subsidy.
with generations
Now,
of
youth
knowledge of
matters,
their land
and
and
as we
its
celebrate
wildlife.
International Youth
These
Day
proficient warriors
and the
excel
power
in
of
the use
partnership
of
across
shields and
generation,
spears,
this year's
but were
theme is
especially fair for
intergenerational
throwing their clubs,
solidarity,
known as
creating a
Orinka,
world
with
for all
expert
ages.
precision
And in view of
across a
all
distance of
these,
up to
young
100
people
meters.
stress the need
As
for all hands
semi-nomadic
to be on deck
pastoralists and
to achieve
subsisting
sustainable
almost
development
entirely on
goals,
the meat,
as well as
blood,
provide
and
young
milk of
people
their
with
herds, they
massive
still live
investments in
by herding
education
cattle and
and skills
goats.
building
Where
that can
other
make them
Kenya tribes have
self-reliant.
adjusted to modern-day
Gen
living
Z are
and
the
sacrificed
techie,
their
the
lands
savvy,
and their
and they bring all
livelihood,
of the tech to
the
the room.
Maasai
And of
still
course, the
stay
older
true
generation
to
bring
their
a wealth of
traditions.
experience. And then, of course,
Maasai
the millennials, we
society
are the
never
doers.
condoned
I could say
trafficking
that.
of
So the
human
thing is,
beings, and
we don't want a world where
outsiders
it's
looking for
us
people to
versus them.
enslave
We're
avoided the
creating an
Maasai.
avenue where we can all
The
work
Maasai
together.
have
So for
traditionally
me,
relied
it's a
on
big call
local,
to international
readily
partners,
available
donors,
materials
even the
and
national partners as
indigenous
well, to
technology to
focus most
construct
of
their
their
housing.
resources working with young
The
people,
traditional
building skills,
Maasai
building
house was
capacities for them to be
designed
able
for
to make a
people on
living.
the
I'm
move
aware that government also
and was
needs some sort of
thus
money in forms of either
impermanent in
capacity
nature.
development or in terms of
Constructed by
raising
able-bodied
funds.
women,
But I don't think
the
funds is the issue
houses are
because
either
Ghana government doing the
rectangular in
little
shape
this,
with
but the little that
extensions
it
or are
has to
circular.
actually direct it
Their
in terms
villages
of
are
addressing
enveloped in
the
a
actual
circular
problems
fence built
To
by
stop
the men,
madness.
and this
Meanwhile,
protects their
African
cattle
stocks
at
wrapped
night
up the
from
week
wild
in
animals.
mixed territory.
The basic
Tunisia's
institution
tune
of
index
social
rose
integration among the Maasai
0.29%
is a
to lead
system of
gains,
age
while South
sects.
Africa's
Under this
GSE
system,
Africa Top 40
group of the
gave
same
up
age
earlier
are
gains
circumcised
and
into adult
depreciated
life
by
during the same open
0.34%.
initiation period. The age class thus formed a permanent grouping, lasting the life of its members. Wife lending occurs between men of the same age set, while polygamy is common among old men. Marriage involves a substantial bride price in livestock. Traditional Maasai men's wealth is measured in cattle and children. A herd of 50 cattle is respectable, and the more children, the better. A man who has plenty of one but not the other is considered to be poor. The piercing and stretching of earlobes are common among the Maasai. Both men and women wear metal hoops on their stretched earlobes. Women wear various forms of beaded ornaments in both the earlobe and small piercing at the top of the ear. Warriors are the only members of the Maasai community to wear long hair, which they weave in thinly braided strands. Between the ages of about 14 and 30, young women are traditionally known as Morans. During this life stage, they live in isolation in the bush, learning tribal customs and developing strength, courage, and endurance traits for which Maasai warriors are noted throughout the world. Maasai music traditionally consists of rhythms provided by a song leader, known as Olaroyoni, who leads the group in song. The women are known to recite lullabies, and sing songs of praise about their sons. During the ceremony, young men will line up and chant towards a line of singing women standing across from them. done by women, beadworking has a long history among the Maasai, who articulate their identity and position in society through body ornaments and body painting.
The Maasai, what an amazing people with indelibly rich culture and a history that long span and actually richer than one can quite imagine, holding true to their cultures and customs hundreds of years, and still it's just absolutely fascinating. Somewhere you want to go to and just get away from all the madness of modern world and enjoy yourself and bask in that. Well, we can't stay in Maasai land forever, can we? Now, moving on from Kenya, we go to Cape Verde, where we explore Fogo Island and its highest altitude. Up next.
Fogo, which refers to fire in Portuguese, is an island in the Sotavento group of Cape Verde. The island reaches the highest altitude of all the islands in Cape Verde, rising up to 2,829 meters above sea level at the summit of its active volcano. It was discovered in 1460 by Captain Antonio de Noli on behalf of Henry the Navigator and the Portuguese crown. Fogo was the second island of Cape Verde that was settled by the Portuguese between 1470 and 1490, making São Filipe the second oldest town of Cape Verde after Cidade Velha. Geographically, Fogo is located between the islands of Santiago to the east and Brava to the west. It is 26.3 kilometers long and 23.9 kilometers wide, with its area being 476 kilometers square. Practically, the whole island is a stratovolcano that has been periodically active. The Fogo volcano erupted frequently both from the summit and from flank fissures, notably in 1680, 1725, 1857, 1951, 1995, and 2014 to 2015. Being very mountainous, Fogo has moderate dry tropical climate, semi-arid mild tropical climate with very balanced temperatures year-round, and a cool highland subtropical steep climate above 1,000 meters. In terms of flora and fauna, Fogo has endemic plants in the garden of the Museu Municipal in São Filipe, and the key bird species of Fogo are fierce petrel, Boyd's shearwater, and Cape Verde swift. The economy of the island is based on agriculture and fishing, with coffee being among the main products. Again, tourism is steadily becoming popular. The volcano, allowed only accompanied by a local guide, is the island's major attraction for tourists who go hiking, but many visitors also come to see relatives. A tourist to Fogo can have a list of activities to carry out. One of them is exploring São Filipe, which is the capital of Fogo. It's quite beautiful and on the tentative list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The city is filled with many colonial houses which were mostly built in the 19th century. The tourist who is adventurous has Pico do Fogo, the highest point in Cape Verde, to hike. This is indeed one of the best things to do on Fogo Island, but it is advisably done with a tour guide. A tourist should also not miss swimming at Ponta de Salina, a point to enjoy the waters in Fogo Island. Hence, you should not miss packing your swimwear. Another stroll around Mosteiros, where the tourists can check out their port and enjoy fresh seafood, is yet another activity the tourists can engage in. It's pretty relaxing and peaceful. The coffee made by locals in Fogo is one drink you should try when visiting Cape Verde. The volcanic soil is pretty rich, that the coffee beans and grapes are abundant. It's what makes the economy thrive. They actually export it to many countries. Once you make up your mind, you can access Fogo by air from Praia and Sal. There are only domestic flights, and by ferry from Santiago, Praia, Brava and Furuna ports, with a stopover at Vel de Caballeros, a town 3 kilometers away from the capital. We await your coming, and you'll be glad you did.
Beautiful Fogo, pretty relaxing and enjoyable. I am totally inclined to agree. It is peaceful, serene, and so long as you have the seaside there, I'm all sold out. Well, that's enough for Fogo. We go to the world of entertainment, where Kiss Daniel gives the bad kiss in Tanzania. Yvonne Nelson speaks on something rather serious. And Toi Lawani of Tiny Empires shares her struggle after losing her pregnancy. All these and much more next in entertainment.
Entertainment, Kiss Daniel made the news after a story of him not showing up for a paid concert in Tanzania went viral. The act, which got the singer arrested, spread out with people expressing their disappointment. The Tanzania-based show promoter Steve Uwa claimed Kiss Daniel insisted on not performing because of the unavailability of his gold chain via a live video with Daddy Freeze.
He only said the airline didn't bring his bag. That is why he cannot perform, because his gold chain is not there. And he had a gold chain on his neck. He wanted everything. I brought him different clothes.
However, Kiss Daniel's brother Tolu, alongside Daddy Freeze and Steve Uwa, have come out to clear the air about what really transpired, with Kiss Daniel also offering to perform free for his fans.
So we came to an agreement to put up a show on Friday. And a free show, by the way. So I will be partnering with Straight Up Vibes to make that happen. And also, I must apologize to the fans. None of this was intentional. I love my job. Especially, I love performing.
It turned out the singer had pressing technical issues that stopped him from performing. Ghanaian actress Yvonne Nelson has advised that people who are not ready to have children should rather have protected sex to avoid unwanted pregnancy. Yvonne shared this piece of advice on social media. While it is unclear what has pushed the mother of one to speak against abortion, her post has been attracting mixed reactions. And like she shared, we are expecting a story soon. Toyin Lawani, Nigerian fashion stylist and reality TV star, lost a baby. Lawani shared a detailed account of all she went through during her pregnancy, and how she got pregnant again and lost a baby. Also, how she's battling with her spine.
My spine. It's not one side. It's not one side.
Toyin revealed she was pregnant during the finale of Real Housewives of Lagos. We send her light and love.
Interesting times in the African world of entertainment. Wishing Kistania well that his next show turns out very well and all those issues, the bad blood is cleared up and his name is restored. Well done, well done. We'll be going on a break now, and when we come back, Lens and Africa will continue. But remember, you can reach out to us on our social media handle, Lens and Africa, NTAI@gmail.com on Facebook. It's also Lens and Africa, NTAI on Instagram, and simply Lens on Africa, NTAI. Also, you can send us a WhatsApp message only. Messages, no calls. We won't be able to pick any of those on 090122210162. And please put your name and where you're sending your messages from. Lens in Africa, we'll be right back.
This week in African history, 7th August 1960, Côte d'Ivoire gained independence from France. August 1960, the acting Attorney General of Transvaal, Mr. P.S. Claassen, dropped charges against 53 out of the 76 Africans detained after the Sharpeville massacre. August 1956, 20,000 women marched to the Pretoria Union Building to protest against the past laws. 9th August 1995, South Africa celebrated the first National Women's Day. 10th August 1965, Karen became the youngest world record official to finish the 110 yards backstroke at the Derby Baths in England within 1 minute 8.7 seconds. 11th August 1960, Chad gained its independence.
Welcome to Africa, the land of ancient civilization. Friday, August 12th was International Youth Day 2022. Our backgrounder sets the tone for our proceeding conversation. Next.
Every 12th of August is celebrated as International Youth Day to create awareness of the plights of the world youths in their respective domain. The youth population has long been a concern as a result of its dynamic nature above other ages of people, and the need to integrate these youths into every sphere of life is a theme of concern. The 2022 International Youth Day brings to focus the relevance to actualize a better life for this group of people. And the theme, Intergenerational Solidarity, Creating a World for All Ages, calls for synergy among all generations to actualize the vision of the Sustainable Development Goals. And this requires strong partnership and cooperation for successful development agenda. It therefore means that the youth can be leveraged in so many aspects of nation building if all forms of injustices are ensured against them. Today's Lens on Africa takes a look at the role of the youth in nation building with seasoned experts to discuss in the studio. Stay tuned.
To carry on this conversation with me, our former President, Youth Council of Nigeria, also former Commissioner for Youth Political Participation, Pan-African Youth Union, and the former Chairman, National Youth Council of Nigeria, Kogi State Chapter. His name is Comrade Oladele John, and he will be joining us shortly. Also with us in the studio, our biology teacher at Federal Government College Enugu, lead volunteer Chidima Ibemere, Foundation 2022 Oxfam Nigeria Youth SDG Network Youth Spotlight Awardee and Project Officer, Wadi Ben Hiriki Foundation. Chidima, welcome to Lens on Africa.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to start with the big question. Who are youths and why should I care?
Okay, so according to the Nigerian definition, the youths are the young people between the ages of 15 and 29. And for a long time...
15 and 29?
Yes, that is our...
15 and 29?
According to Nigeria.
That's not good. So I'm not a youth.
But according to the African Youth Charter, youth are young people between 15 and 35.
Okay.
So you said, why should we care, right?
Yeah, why should we care?
Over time, we've heard this adage that says that youths are the life wire of any organization.
Yeah.
And I feel that with the population of youths we have in Nigeria, the tomorrow we deserve can only be achieved if we incorporate the youth blood in it. So it's important that you care for the youths because there's really no future without us in it. And I'm excited about this year's conversation, which is international solidarity, because there's the call for, over time we've had issues where people make decisions for the youth without the youth being involved. But this time around, we're saying we need a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
We no longer want anything for the youth without the youth. It doesn't make sense.
Nothing for the youth without the youth. That sounds interesting.
You can't do something for me without adding me on the table or on the decision-making table. So I'm so excited that, the United Nations has come up with this whole idea to integrate people of all ages in ensuring that we achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
This sounds very nice. You're really into this, aren't you?
I am.
All right, Mr. Oladele John, who's also the Vice President, Pan-African Youth Organization. What is your take on this? I just asked her the question. I'd like to ask you the same question. Who are youths and why should I care?
Actually, she's correct. Good day, Nigerians. A youth.
It's an African show.
Good day, Africa, actually. A youth is actually by the current national youth policy of the Nigeria being supervised by Ministry of Youth. A youth is someone between the ages of 15 and 29, like you stated. But the African Youth Charter actually defines a youth as someone between the ages of 18 and 35.
Okay.
While the United Nations defines a youth as someone between the ages of 15 and 29. So, but for us in Nigeria, we work by the definition of the African youth. For us in Africa, we work by the African Youth Charter, which defines a youth as someone between the ages of 18 and 35. So a youth is that young, vibrant, resilient. A youth is that girl, that guy who is still active and still very much on the field like you are aware, in the continent of Africa, Africa is judged as a youthful continent, because over 75% of our demography are young people in the continent of Africa. And that is why when you look at the continent generally, the African continent is one of the best, because the youth strength has actually not been fully tapped. But we are hoping that, in line with the AU Agenda 2063 and the laudable programs of the African Union, we will be able to fully tap the potential of the African youth.
All right. I'm going to take up something he said. I'm going to be a little hardballed on this one. He says we're going to be able to tap into the potential of the African youth. I say we've been talking about tapping into the potential of the African youth for a long time. Leaders of tomorrow, African youth, this year, next year, since I was a child, and now I'm no longer a youth. So why don't we just move on to something else and, leave this whole youth business? We don't seem to be making progress.
In as much as we have not gotten the desired results we want, we can't give up now.
And why is that?
Because everybody deserves a fighting chance at life. And I feel like, as youth, you can't keep telling us that we are the leaders of tomorrow, and when we take responsibility, we decide that this story you're telling us about us being the leaders of tomorrow is actually not our privilege, it's our right. You get angry about it. And I feel now the youths of today, we're trying to change the narratives. We're not like youths like you. Sorry.
All right, go ahead.
We are youths that we are aware, and knowledge is power, knowledge is good. If you understand that this tomorrow we're talking about is yesterday we said we are the leaders of tomorrow, and today is already that tomorrow. You take action regardless of the circumstances that may try to hold you back. If we want the Nigeria we deserve, I feel youth should be at the forefront of taking up responsibility. I'm going to talk about the ASU strike, right? I think it was Nelson Mandela who said that education is the bedrock of development for any nation. And today is like day 191 or thereabout, day 181 or thereabout of the ASU strike. And then if youths now go to the streets to protest and say, please, we are tired of this whole story. You can't keep treating us this way. You want the Nigeria you want. Look at people in the demographics of 70 to 90. They're not active. And then those of us who are active, we're at home because we can't go to school. So equip ourselves with the right knowledge. So if we keep saying, okay, let's not do anything, we will be the ones to bear the brunt at the end of the day. And remember, we are going to give birth to children who will still continue that cycle. And that is something we don't want to.
Fantastic.
We
Let's
don't want
pause
that to
there.
happen.
Mr. Oladile John, let's get back to you. Now, African society generally, from what you said, the African Charter is different. For international, it's 15 to 29. Those are youths. In Africa, it's 18 to 35. There's a huge difference. You don't become a youth early enough, and you're still a youth much older. It seems as if there's a big cultural shift there. We're not catching up with the rest of the world. Now, vis-a-vis the development strides that Africa needs to make, what can be done to ensure that the African young person or the African youth is able to be at par with his colleague in the US or Germany? For example, someone who is 15 is still looked at as a child here in Africa, and by 15 he's a young adult, is a youth there, and he can do a lot more things. What can be done? How can we change this narrative here in Africa?
Thank you very much. I think looking at it globally and even taking the African continent into consideration, you look at the cultural difference between Africa and other parts of the world. For those in Africa, what are the school age period, and what are the school age period for those in the other part of the world? She's talking briefly about ASU strike. In those parts of the world, if we are going to work by the United Nations Charter of definition of a youth, that is between the ages of 15 and 29, in the African continent, most of those people within that age group are either still in secondary school or still struggling to gain admission into the university. So these are some of the deficiencies that we have. But however, we are not even just looking at the age. We are looking at the productivity of the people that we are bringing out. We are looking at the capacity of the people that we are bringing out. How are we, as African youths, competing favorably with youth in Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world? And I must say that the youths of Africa are not doing badly. When you look at even the United States, you look at or even some other European countries, most of those who are driving even their economy behind the scene are the African youths. We're talking about the doctors in Canada, in United States, in UK, most of those who are in the engineering sector are mostly Africans. I can take a good cue at Nigeria.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. But my question is, how do we change the narrative back home? We know what our young people can do. We see what they're doing overseas. But here you have in African continent, you have older leadership who believe you guys are still little children. Would you just sit down and not talk when the elders are talking? How do we change this narrative? Because we have older people who are in many regards tired, and they need younger energy. They need people who see the world differently to be able to take modern challenges. How do we approach this problem?
It's purely governance. We must change the governance structure of the African continent. Okay. We must change the governance structure of the member states. Looking at the continent generally, you see that this monarchical system of government still seems to be the practice. You see a situation whereby the older ones are not willing to bequeath power to the younger ones, compared to the other parts of the world. But for us in Africa, particularly with the African youth, we came up with a campaign in sensitizing the African youth on the need to get involved in governance. Enough of just sitting on social media, enough of the protests, enough of the complaint. Yeah. We must begin to get involved. And getting involved in the governing structure, we've understood that the crop of leaders we have in the continent are not going to willingly hand over powers to the young ones. So it is imperative for us to begin to get involved right from the political party structure. And that is why even as we move into the 2023 here in Nigeria, we are looking at a shift from what used to be. You see more youth consciousness. You see more youths talking about who are the candidates. You see people, unfortunately, looking at the three major parties now. That is the Labour Party, the APC. And I'm just looking at them generally. You see the candidates are actually people who are of older generation, who are of the I will call those who are in the departure lounge of their stay. But these are the things we need to change generally, and that is why even in some African countries, coup d'etat is still part of the thing that is reigning, because the young people are actually put behind the back seat. The young people are actually more of the passenger than the driver's seat of the continent. But this narrative must change, and we must catch up with the rest of the world. The youth must come to the governance table. The youth must be fully involved.
I see you're eager. Let's hear you.
In addition to what he said, I feel what is important, because you raised the idea that, you know, the older generation feel we are young and why should they give us opportunities?
It's an African thing, culturally speaking.
But I mean, I'm grateful that this is an international platform. So I just want to put it out here that so our elderly uncles and aunties, the older generation, please, it's about collaboration. It's not competition. I mean, we need ourselves to achieve what we want. There is no, I don't feel it would be wise for us to have a world where there are no old people.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, because typically, I mean, in typical African society where the younger people are pushing for more say, the old feel you are foolish young people, and the young feel you are just foolish old people who are outdated. So what do we do? You were talking about collaboration.
It's collaboration. It's not competition. I'm not trying to displace your wisdom as an old person, and you're not trying to oppress me because I am young. What is important is that if you bring your ideas, I mean, like it would even make sense for an elderly person to be behind the scenes, guiding the younger person to achieve the desired goal, isn't it? So a situation where the older person feels that this is it is my inheritance, I feel that is so disrespectful to everyone. We need ourselves. Young people need the old people. Older people need the younger people. The most important thing is that values are put on the table. That is one. And secondly, we are achieving the desired goals. And for me, I feel like the desired goals, we're not even asking for too much. It is just what the basics. Healthcare, right? If you know that you don't have the skills to drive the health system, why would you want to remain there? Why not give opportunities to people who have been trained? Or
maybe your expectations are too high. Have I thought about that?
No. My expectations are not too high because I mean, like, education is basic now, right? Education is the right of everybody. So but the situation in Nigeria is that it has been presented to us as a privilege. So only people who have certain amount of money are capable of going to school. Now think about people, the population of youths whose parents do not have access to private universities, and then their only hope is the federal school. And now school has been on strike. Like I was saying yesterday, that there are so many people that are affected by the strike action. Think about people who feed because, I mean, their businesses are on school premises. Think about parents who have to deal with, adding more money. And the dollar rates, again, everything is going up. So there's every possibility that even if the strike action is called up by tomorrow, the price of rent of the last time will definitely not be, because everybody wants exactly. So it's complicated. There's an intersection of issues there, and we have to deal with it.
Okay. This is a mouthful. I was going to say before this, and maybe I should just still push. You're talking about building a world, creating a world for all ages. How is this going to happen? Consider the impatience of youth and the arrogance and the condescending nature of elderly. How are you going to make this work?
I think this is one of the very important thing the theme for this year's International Youth Day seeks to address. That is intergenerational collaboration. We're just coming out of this is the third year after the COVID-19 pandemic. So it is obvious that it's not just all up to the elderly, neither is it all up to the youths to build a better world. The collaboration is very much needed. And like you have said, most of what's the problem and challenges we've had in the past is actually this mentorship problem. There's been a huge gap between the old and the young. They've not been these mentorship processes, and this we must begin to bridge this gap. I also believe that the African youth has all the potential is needed. The major problem we have is the environment, the political will, and the environment created by our leaders.
Now I'm going to ask you this question exactly about that environment. We've talked about what we need to do is change in the political structure across Africa to ensure that younger, more vibrant, more energetic, forward-thinking people are in government. Now, the young people generally are impatient. Old people will sit down for 4 hours, 6 hours. I've voted for the past number of elections, and sometimes would have to, you see people take food there, older people. The young people can't stay so long. It's too boring. Why do I stay in the line for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours before I cast my vote, wait for the vote to be counted and all of that? How are you going to make this work with young people so impatient?
I don't think maybe arguing the fact that it's not necessary for us to stand on the queue for over 5 hours is a problem, because I mean, like, we're in the digital world. This is 21st century. Why should we still go on with our voting system, the usual?
But you're not yet the one in power. You do not yet design the voting system.
Now, this is the thing. This is the story. The story I would like to share here is this. I know that the whole idea about youth being impatient has been like a slogan over the years, but I feel strongly that the youth of now, especially since the pandemic from 2020 October,
they've learned to sit in a place.
Up to now, you've seen youths who are not waiting for you to give them a seat at the table. They come with their
to take it.
They are not even. Don't worry, since you don't want, we have our chairs. They are bringing it to the table, and that is so amazing. What I want to use this opportunity to share with all the youth is this: yes, it may be very difficult based on our cultural context here in Africa and Nigeria to have our elderly ones give us that free space to operate. But trust me, when they see that you bring value to the table, it's easier. Nobody wants to mentor somebody who has nothing to offer. It would not be nice for me to always be at the giving end when there's nothing for me to receive from you.
Okay. So we're gonna take it that we just have about a minute. So what we're gonna do with that minute each is so we can round up. So Mr. Oladele John, I'd like you to look at your camera and talk to Africans, the youth and the elderly alike, in about 30 seconds or so.
I'll start with the elderly. We must understand that you were once a youth, And it is very important for you to know that you have to create that space on the table. And for the Nigerian youth or for the African youth in general, it is important that we take advantage of every opportunity that we have. And also having at the back of our mind that the leaders will not willingly leave the seat, will not quit the stage until we rise to taking the baton from them. And we must also be prepared. Leadership is not just about age. I must be frank, but we must be prepared. And to a large extent, the African youth are doing their best to prepare themselves for the leadership role. The major challenge is having that change of leadership, such that the leader sees the opportunity to say, "Oh, let me relax. Let's see what you as the African youth can do, while we give you the mentorship from the back seat."
Fantastic. Chidimang, it's about your turn, so we would like you to say your
I just
words.
have one story, important information to share. So I gained admission in 2009, but I couldn't go to school because of the strike action. And being a teacher at Federal Government College in Enugu, it is heartbreaking that over 10 years down the line, my students who graduated last year and have gained admission have not been able to go back to school because of the strike action. So I'm using this platform. I know I'm speaking on behalf of the Nigerian youth. I'm appealing to the federal government of Nigeria. I'm appealing to ASU. Please, please, it would be nice for you to reach a negotiation or just get to a meeting point. Nigerian students are suffering. We need the strike action to be called off as soon as possible. That is my story. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chidimang. Thank you, Mr. Aladele. It's been a pleasure having two of you here.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we don't seem to have enough time. Time is not a friend, but we'll hopefully have you back same time, before the same time next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. Thank you.
All right. So from that, we move on to something I think I consider the most important. They said if you've never tasted okra soup before, you probably have never lived. So says Saratu Chori. It's Tasty Ideas up next.
Okra soup can be prepared in 1,000,001 ways. All it takes is the choice of ingredients and method of cooking utilized. For this particular recipe, we will be using the following ingredients: okra, palm oil, locust beans, onions, scotch bonnets, chicken, cayenne pepper, Cameroon pepper, crayfish, smoked fish, that is catfish, mackerel, and cake, ugu leaves, uziza leaves, and seeds, and of course, some water. We'll begin by cooking the chicken. We'll be adding some onions, some seasoning, some crayfish stock powder, some salt, and Cameroon pepper. Next will come the washed and deboned catfish to infuse the flavors of the chicken and fish while they cook and soften gradually. Add some water and cover, then allow it to boil. We'll at this point blend some cayenne peppers and scotch bonnets along with uziza seeds. Add some water and blend to the consistency you like, and then set it aside. The chicken and fish are almost cooked now, so we can begin to add the other ingredients. The blended peppers will go in first. Remember, Use just the much you'd like. Then the palm oil. I'd like to be generous with that. The deboned smoked mackerel next. The locust bean, also known as iru, can now go into the pot. I'll add the crayfish at this point as well, reserving some for later. Though, give it a good stir, then cover for some minutes. Once it comes to a boil and you've checked that your stock tastes as good as you'd like it to, you can introduce the okra, the uziza leaves and ugu leaves, then mix properly. Have it at the back of your mind that vegetables don't take time to cook, so it's best to add them all together to cook for a short time so that you can maintain both the nutrients and the crunchiness. Mix properly and add the remaining crayfish. Turn off the burner and voila! Your okra soup is ready. You can choose to eat it with any swallow of your choice. Enjoy your meal.
Saratu Chori, that was a crime against humanity. How can you show me that kind of food on television and I can't even taste it? But anyway, we know what we mean when she said, if you haven't tasted okra soup before, you probably haven't lived. It's delicious, I can see. We're out of time, so we'll just take a few messages and we can't even take our social media messages. There isn't much time. But okay, we have a few that have sent in messages. We have one from Tanzania. Well, we're out of time. So from us, the producer, the director, and all of us here in the studio in Lenten Africa, we say, keep making Africa proud.
Sao Tome and Principe, officially the Democratic Republic of Sao Tome and Principe, is a twin island nation found on the equatorial west coast of Africa. The country consists of two archipelagos, that is, a cluster or collection of islands, about 140 kilometers apart. Principe is the closest island to the mainland Africa, and it is about 225 kilometers off the northwestern coast of Gabon. The name Sao Tome is of Portuguese origin, named after St. Thomas by Portuguese explorers, marking their arrival on the island, which coincided with St. Thomas' Day. History has it that the islands served as a vital commercial and trade center for the Atlantic slave trade. The country had a peaceful independence in 1975 and has since then remained one of Africa's most stable and democratic countries. Although there was an attempted coup d'etat on July 16, 2003, when the then president, Frederick Menezes, was out of the country on a private visit to Nigeria. The current population of Sao Tome and Principe, according to Worldometer data, is about 223,931 people, an increase of over 22,000 people from the 201,800 official estimate in 2018. The country is said to be the second smallest African sovereign state after Seychelles, as well as the smallest Portuguese-speaking country. Standard Portuguese is the official language of the country and is understood by virtually all islanders. In addition, 3 Portuguese-based mother tongues are spoken, namely Sao Tomense, spoken by the Foros and having by far the largest number of speakers. Angola, the language of the Angolaris, spoken on the southern tip of Sao Tome, and Principians, spoken by only a few hundred individuals on the Principe Island. The country is endowed with excellent weather conditions for tropical agriculture. Cocoa, for instance, is the main agricultural produce of the island nation, and it represents about 95% of the country's export. Once said to be the largest producer of cocoa in the world. Also, the rich volcanic soil and proximity to the equator has made the country ideal for sugar cultivation. Other cash crops such as coffee and coconut are cultivated in large quantity and has hugely contributed to the gross domestic product of the country. Tourism is another major contributor to the country's economy, attracting tourists from Portugal and other European countries. Most notable tourist destinations in the country include the Okra National Park, covering about 30% of the country with white and black sandy beaches and around 700 species of flora and fauna. The Bombom Island, off the northern coast of Principe, is a tourist resort and one of the must-visit places in the country because of its beauty. Famous for its humpback whale sighting and the magical Cascata Sao Nicola waterfall, another beautiful gift of nature. Interestingly, the islands of Sao Tome and Principe are home to a large number of birds. Yes, you will find the world's smallest ibis and the largest sunbirds in the country. It is indeed a bird-watching paradise. The country has a homogeneous culture, profoundly marked by centuries of blending elements of the dominant Roman Catholic Portuguese culture with various African influences. The kinship system is bilateral, although men traditionally are known to be polygamous. With the virtual absence of monogamous marriage, the conjugal system is characterized by a high incidence of multiple and serial customary unions and visiting relationships. Sao Tomians are known for Uswa and Sukuk readings, while Principe is home to the Detza beats. Portuguese ballroom may have played an integral part in the development of these readings and their associated dances. Chiloli, for instance, is a musical dance performance that tells a dramatic story of Sao Tomians. And the Danko Congo is similarly a combination of music, dance, and theater. The islands that make up Sao Tome and Principe are great for people who love nature, with about 30% of the country's territory covered by rainforest. And unlike mainland Africa, there is no threat of large dangerous animals or poisonous snakes. The only thing you have to look out for is mosquitoes. So, pick up that mosquito repellent and venture into the jungle as the smallest yet beautiful African country, and her people are welcoming and peaceful.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet, and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you. In your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Negative impact of prolonged strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities on the students. A review of legislative election in one of the West Africa's stable nations. Plus, succor comes the way of vulnerable persons in Adamawa State. I'm glad to welcome you to another edition of The Correspondents. We have stories that will educate and inform you as usual. I am Tessie Omeri. Thanks for joining us. Our first story is on Nigeria's tertiary education system, talking about the public universities that have been shut down for a very long time now. Our students, parents and observers keep vigil, anxiously waiting for the resolution of the lingering ASU strike. We examine the matters of the moment. What are the contending issues between the union and the federal government, and the implications of the strike on the lives of the students? Correspondent Abdullahi Musa Salija brings us up to speed with the state of affairs so far.
The contentious issues between government and ASU have been in public domain. Talks between the two have been on, but students of public universities remain at home for long, enough to cover an entire session. While private universities operate for people who can afford the fees, average parents are left with the option of public universities that have lean vacancies considering the high number of admission seekers in the country. This is a country that harps on catching up with developed societies.
It has a negative effect. Other countries, they are moving forward. And our children are set back.
The extension of strike for another 4 weeks is described as one disaster too many.
It's really unfair. And the parents are really not happy about that. There's no money.
There are a lot of problems that this crisis has caused within. And even though the parents again, there's no money. You have children at home who will be eating.
Students should not be blamed for helping themselves in the circumstances they find themselves. The students' lives are being destroyed morally, psychologically, and every form of development is being truncated.
I'm tired. I'm tired of this whole strike thing. I want to go back to school. My classmates now, we graduated from secondary school together, they're already done. And I just recently entered 300 level when I'm supposed to be in 400 level.
Almost on every account of its industrial action, ASU extracts some sort of financial commitment from the government, and this seems to constitute some kind of win situation until the next strike action.
My plea here is ASU should make a better consideration. Federal government should make the best of all consideration.
For 2 million young people released into the community, and then these 2 million, uncontrolled energies, so you have rape, you have armed robbery, because these are young people who work with their peers, and there's a lot of peer group influence.
Very unproductive, and they are asked, they've not done anything to give our young people as if there is a future in our educational system. It's like a dead end. That is the truth. They are giving our young people the opportunity to go and do anything they want to do. That is not what we want. We don't need ASU to develop our educational system. We don't need it.
ASU have overstepped their bounds by not, keening to what the government has offered.
ASU we strike. It's bad. The future of the country is being bastardized. The future of the progress of the country they are making things so worse.
People who are about to graduate, but because of the ASU strike, they've been at home for extra 6 months or thereabouts. So I heard about the extension by 4 weeks. I wasn't happy because, like I told you, I have somebody who was supposed to be graduating very soon, but due to the ASU strike, they have to still stay home longer than necessary.
When people say government, it's not government only. They're the lecturers, because I heard that one of the problems that was persisting was that lecturers were not ready, mostly the profs, to be in the IPPS pay system. They're supposed to be. Because also that has also an effect that one lecturer will be having lectures in about 5-7 universities. It also has dampened on the employment rate of the new graduates.
I had a friend during an ASU strike in 2001 or 2000 thereabout. He became depressed.
The student morale, the student brain, the student academic performance will not be the way it used to.
Observers are keen to see the resolution of this unhealthy development in Nigerian university system to enable the institutions compete favorably with their counterparts in the world.
Quite unfortunate, Abdullahi. Dialogue and compromise remains the way out of the crisis as students and parents look forward to the resumption of academic activities in Nigerian public universities. Thanks a lot. And now to Poverty Alleviation Program. For the more than 4,000 vulnerable persons and individuals in Adamawa State, life will not be the same again as they become the latest beneficiaries of 20,000 Naira grant from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. Correspondent Yusuf Jika reports that the Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, says the gesture is in line with the federal government's policy to improve the well-being of vulnerable Nigerians, especially those at the grassroots.
It is a 3-in-1 activity carried out by the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk.
We are here today to witness the consolidation of the National Social Investment Programs designed by the federal government under the leadership of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, especially and effectively give a lifting hand to some of our poorest and vulnerable citizens.
These include provision of grants to over 4,000 vulnerable persons flag off of digitized payment of conditional cash transfer to beneficiaries, and onboarding of NPower Independent Monitor Stream 2 in Adamawa State.
A cash grant of 20,000 naira to the poor and vulnerable categories across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory. Using this grant, many of the beneficiaries will improve their productivity and their commercial activity, all of which will help in easing them out of poverty.
This gesture is a clear demonstration of government's commitment to better the lives of the poor and vulnerable and to strengthen the capacity of Empower program for efficiency and effectiveness.
Additionally, this program has been acclaimed by many to be the largest and most ambitious social protection program in Africa and is currently attracting many partnerships with even international development partners.
The minister maintained that Nigeria's current poverty index stands at 40% as against 70% in 2015, promising government's determination to better the lives of the poor for the good of all.
More attention to generating solutions to address the plight of the poor and vulnerable in the country.
This country must have a ministry of humanitarian affairs, disaster management, and social development as the ministry to solve poverty in Nigeria.
To Adamawa State government, investing on poor and vulnerable is paramount and commended the federal government for the initiative.
No doubt, these achievements are worthy of commendation, and as a government, we appreciate the federal government and indeed the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development for this immense support.
A cross-section of beneficiaries appreciated the foresight of the programs, saying it will go a long way in improving their lives.
I'll make sure that this money provide a lot of things for me to grant it at least to 30,000 per month. At least I'll take care of myself, my family, and the others.
I'll give my best to the society, to the state, and to people around me.
No doubt, such social protection interventions by the federal government will indeed improve productivity on the part of the beneficiaries and also alleviate poverty. Many thanks, Yusuf. Ahead, lessons from the just concluded legislative election from the Republic of Senegal. Join us again after the break.
Sees that the Buhari-led administration has made remarkable progress,
like Lafia Transmission Station nearing completion.
Africa does not need charity, but partnerships that will promote the adequate investment
with the cooperation of all.
Sharing firsthand the experiences of reporters on the field as they bring to you weekly the beauty of Nigeria's diverse culture and the economic potentials therein. The Correspondents, development through the eye of the grassroots, showing every Monday at 1:30 p.m. on the network service of the NTA, with a repeat broadcast on NTA News 24 and NTA International. Join us.
Welcome back to the Correspondents. Talking politics now. The legislative election of the Republic of Senegal has been concluded peacefully with the announcement of results. Correspondent Haman Japani, who was part of the ECOWAS observer mission, reports that provisional results released showed President Macky Sall's governing coalition lost its majority in a poll pitched by opposition groups as a referendum on his policies and potential third-term aspirations.
The electoral campaign took place over 21 days and was believed to have been marked by controversies over the sponsorship system, political and legal battles over the validity of certain lists, demonstrations, and arrests of members of the main opposition coalition. However, the 8-candidate list that got Senate's approval to participate in the legislative election saw to a peaceful and transparent nature of ballot and good mastery of voting procedures. The 15,500 polling stations were open for 7 million electorates who will elect 165 members of the 14th National Assembly that will lead the next 5 years from 2022 to 2027. Senegal, a multi-party republic with a population of 17.7 million with one legislative house, has 8 candidate lists approved by the National Electoral Body, SENA, out of the 15 that submitted intention to contest in the elections.
Political parties that forms the coalition, because it is quite difficult for a single party. Even the government presently is a coalition of political parties. So it is difficult for one single party even to emerge as the winner. So that's why we see most of the coalition. Unlike in Nigeria, where you see the APC, or like the PDP, or in some other countries, like Sierra Leone, where you see the SLPP or the APC. But here it's quite difficult, even from the time over the last 12 years. They form coalition of winning party or ruling party, or the coalition of oppositions.
Some of the electorate spoke to NTA News on their experiences and expectations as the election is now over.
I think it's a duty that every Senegalese should fulfill. And this is as well the only way we have to say our priorities to the government, what we want from them, what we are waiting from them.
The woman is the family, and the family is the support of the whole society. So I hope women get involved more and more. And we have more voice in the government, in the parliament, and all the sector of the society.
The 49 ECOWAS observers mission were able to cover a total of 927 polling stations during the legislative election. Head of the various teams commended the commission for giving them the opportunity, adding that while carrying out their assignments, they observed that there were a large turnout of elderly and women, but that could not be said of the youth. Several persons with disability could not access their units due to the structures of the polling stations. There was a high presence of security personnel. All electoral processes were carried out professionally and no irregularities were witnessed.
We noticed that all the voting materials was in place, the officials also, as well as the representatives of the candidates. So far, I think people are proceeding peacefully in an orderly manner. And we are quite satisfied with what we have seen.
Also, we have to congratulate some more innovations of Senegal. For example, the representation of the diaspora in the parliament. I never seen it before anywhere.
Preliminary result from the poll station. We all know that the result will be tight between opposition and the current majority. And if there is a need to contest, it's just to follow the rules.
When we talk about strengthening democracy, the government has maintained that Nigeria's tradition on trying to assist those countries, both technical and even economic support. Whenever election is coming up in any of these countries.
7:30, 80% of those people who are standing outside waiting were the older generation, and I must also commend the ladies, our mothers, and for exercising the civic education.
So the Parliament will make that recommendation that we must have a set budget aside to be proactive in our operations.
The mission stressed the need for sensitization of electorate on democratic culture, promotion of peace for stability, and the consolidation of democratic culture in Senegal. After a few days of waiting for a winner in the legislative election, provisional results released shows that President Macky Sall's governing coalition lost its majority. However, the main opposition coalitions also failed to win a majority of the National Assembly's 165 seats. Sall's coalition, United in Hope, won 82 of the Assembly's 165 seats, one shy of a majority. The main opposition coalition, Liberate the People and Save Senegal, running an alliance, won 56 and 24 seats, respectively, for a total of 80. The remaining 3 seats were split among smaller parties and coalition.
We're not done with the legislative elections from the Republic of Senegal, as NTA's correspondent Haman Jabani joins us in the studio. Hello, Haman, welcome to the correspondent.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure.
And welcome back to the country.
Thank you.
Hope you brought lots of goodies for us.
Of course.
Okay, so now, how will you rate the just concluded legislative election in Senegal?
Well, the election was generally peaceful. Okay. Part of the observers team, the ECOWAS observers team, we were grouped into 4 and we were able to cover 967 polling stations.
Wow.
And in all the places we visited, we didn't record any single crisis or any misunderstanding among even the politicians or the candidates or anything. And the ballot papers were there on time. And interestingly, most of the electorates were even there even an hour before the commencement of the election proper. And it shows that they were serious to change how things were happening in the government. And based on the results that were announced, the ruling party were able to secure just 82 seats out of 165 seats. That is United in Hope. Right? And then the major coalition opposition parties, about 2 of them, they're the major ones, the Liberty of the People and then Save Senegal. They were able to pull, the 2 of them were able to pull 80.
Wow.
All right. And then the 3 seats was shared among the other small parties. This shows that the present government cannot take decision on anything.
Sure.
They must liaise with any of the parties to make decision.
Okay.
Generally, the election was peaceful. There was no any problem, and ECOWAS and all international observers rate the election very, very high and peaceful.
Okay, I can see genuine patriotism there, where people came out. You said no crisis at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
So comparing this with Nigerian situation,
their level of election is quite different from what we have here at home.
Okay.
It's totally different.
Okay.
For a start, the election is conducted by 2 bodies. That is the Senate, that is the electoral body, and a body that is within the Ministry of Interior.
Okay.
They both have different functions, all right? And that makes the election, the entire process, to be less cumbersome for the parties. And that is why they were able to deploy all materials about 2 days before the election.
Okay.
It was free, it was easier for them to operate. And the thing is that just about 17 million people actually participated in the election compared to what we have in Nigeria.
That's a big number.
Well, compared to what you have in Nigeria is very, very small.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. And then the total population in Senegal is 17 point something million.
Almost everybody came out then.
They are supposed to come out. But the funny thing about the whole thing is that there was serious problem of people coming out to vote. Majority of the people that came out to vote that we saw were women and the elderly.
Okay.
All right, that it covers about 50% of the entire population of people that voted.
Okay.
And then the youth, just about 20%. Majority of them were out there playing their football, doing whatever they want to do, having leisure time.
Okay.
It shows that, and then the other part of it, the entire process, a candidate will come with his card, ID card, national ID card. That is what they use in voting.
Oh.
Yes, you will just show your card, and then the electoral person will call the name aloud, and all the agents of the political parties, they have a list of the electorates with them. So as soon as, so as the electoral person is calling the name, you also check and tick. So everybody is checking each other. All right. And then you have 8 ballots of the candidate leads. Yes. You pick one. You go to your enclose. You fold the one you want. You are electing. Put it in an envelope and then discard the remaining 7.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that's after the election. Then they will bring it out.
Wow.
Then they will count. If party A, they will just be calling party A, party B. At the end of the day, they will count. Then that the person with the candidate with the highest number will be declared winner in that particular unit.
So interesting.
Yes,
I
it's
wish
quite
Nigeria
different.
can, adopt something like
Well, we
that.
can't.
Is
We
it
can't really.
doable?
No, it's not really possible because of the population we have of our electorate in Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
We're talking of millions, not
Millions,
just
hundreds of millions.
exactly.
96 million.
I think they were able to do that without any issue because of their number, the number of electorates to cast their ballot.
Okay, so talking about civic education, from what you have said, I'm sure they were well educated, because from what you have said, there are any lapses of
the major issue is the youths didn't come out to vote.
Yeah.
Yes. The youths constitute about 60 to 70% of the population. The majority there, the other percent is the elderly, and then the women are more inclined to politics than even the elderly men.
You can imagine.
Right? So the most important aspect of the civil education we're talking about is the youth should know their responsibility.
Sure.
If they don't come out, they won't see the change they want.
Sure.
They will not participate in governance. I came across a woman. She's 80. They have to even move her.
But she was willing to go past her.
She said she must.
Yeah.
And the funny part of it, her polling unit is on the third floor.
You can imagine.
They have to carry her up to the third floor.
That's why I talk about genuine patriotism.
Exactly. And then the youth are not there.
Yeah.
The youth are not there. Most especially the men. They are not there. If you see a youth trying to vote, maybe it's a lady, but not the men.
But why?
Well, that is what ECOWAS and all international bodies are saying, that there is need for more sensitization and voter education in Senegal.
So, as Nigeria prepares for 2023 general elections, are there lessons, to be learned from the just concluded election you covered?
Well, the thing is, you can't really compare because of the population.
Sure.
But I believe
we have some things to learn.
Yes, definitely. No matter what, there's one or two things to learn, because in their parliamentary election, about 10 seats are meant for diasporas.
Oh,
yes, it's meant for diasporas.
Okay, so everybody is actually captured in.
Yes, it's captured in the whole thing. And then, the peaceful nature of it, everybody's just calm, no any issue. Everybody knows what to do, where to go, how to go about it. You can't see all, let's say, the political talks, they were not there. Even posters and banners.
Maybe they don't even have.
Well, it's politics. You can't rule that out. You could have one or two.
Yeah.
But it was calm and peaceful. The funny thing, you can't even know if the election is taking place in Senegal that time.
Okay.
Everybody was just moving about it was so peaceful and calm. I think if you can imbibe that nature in our political, situation, even most we the youths, if you can, back out and, do things the way it should be, I think it will do us very good in our political processes.
From what you have said, I can see it was a beautiful outing, and I want to believe also enjoyed your stay there because of the peaceful nature of the process.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Harman Javani, for sharing your thoughts with us on the correspondence. Hope to have you back here some other time.
I'm always here for you, Tessie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope for better days ahead for Nigeria.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that's the correspondence this week. Let's do it again some other time. Thank you very much for watching. A reminder that the fight against rape and rapists is still on. Take action and be a star with the NTA. Bye for now.
You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International. Your window to the world.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't